Hey, how are you doing today, Tyler?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Amy Reed in Columbia, South Carolina for Alt 99.7. Excited to get to talk to you guys. A lot going on for
Yeah.
the head and the heart, so a lot to talk about. Um, you had a number one hit with Arrow, and of course you have After the Setting Sun coming up now. What's the feeling like putting new music out into the world? Is there any kind of anticipation, anxiety, excitement?
All the above. Yeah. It's always an interesting process. I feel like now that we're deeper into the life of this band, it's always a little like nerve-wracking. Are we going to sort of, I guess, connect with the older fans or the newer fans or whatever it is? And I think on this album, we sort of like pushed all of that pressure a little bit aside
Okay.
and kind of just focused on what felt good to us in the moment. Uh,
Yeah.
I think you can get so wrapped up in what other people think you should be doing, and I think this record we just did what we wanted.
Well, and sometimes, like you said, going back to the older fans, they may have certain expectations of you to sound a certain way or to do a certain something. The newer fans might have a little more appreciation for something that they've never heard before from you guys. So it's like trying not to just do something to please the fans, but do something that feels good and authentic to the band, I'm sure.
Totally.
You have a new album coming out on May 9th, Aperture, and you go back to your roots a little bit on this album. You guys handle production elements yourself. And I imagine, much like it feels for people, right, spending a day digging in the dirt, that at the end of the day, you feel really tired, but in that good, exhausted way. Why did you feel that it was important for you to go back to that sort of production and way of creating for the band?
Yeah, I think, after working with some really great producers over the last three records, we just kind of felt the desire to do it. We were like, we're all producers, we all have great ideas, and yeah, I think it was just kind of the desire to get our hands dirty, like you
Yeah.
said, like to feel like we did some work at the end of the day, and to also feel proud of it. Because when you're working with a producer, sometimes you don't know what they're doing. Like they'll come in the next day, and you're like, all right, this sounds a little different, but what did you do? And they're not telling you. So I think there's like we wanted to kind of peel back that curtain a little bit and get back to, I guess, just our ideas and realizing those in a way that feels natural and good to us.
The tour kicks off, and you're going to be up the road from us in Charlotte. So we'll
Mhm.
see you in July. But it's 5 months on the road. What do you do to prepare for 5 months on the road?
Uh, well, I think we're all sort of starting to run a little bit and get some workouts in. That's always important, like feeling good on the road, especially, this deep into our career. It's so important, So we've
Yeah.
actually started doing some sober touring as well, which super helpful. I know everybody's like, "Oh man,
Wait, tell me about that. What is it exactly what it sounds like?
yeah."
Is
Yeah.
that a far cry from what it used to be?
Yeah. I think that's why we do it. I mean, I think there's an intentionality to where we are as a band right now and as people, and kind of having control over ourselves and our stage show and what we present to people every night.
Yeah.
It's so important to us, and I think we play a lot better when we're sober, So weird, right?
People, I went to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. This was a couple years ago. And I was in the crowd. This has happened to me a few times. Like I saw the Foo Fighters and these people who are I want to phrase it appropriately.
Yeah.
They're hitting upper demo is the radio term. But you watch them and I mean like the Chili Peppers, these are dudes in their 60s.
Yeah.
And like peak performance. I think people underestimate the amount of energy and the cardio shape that you have to be on stage night after night, especially when your sleep is chaotic, maybe eating is
Yeah.
a little bit different and weird. And I left that show and I was like, what do I need to do as somebody who's not on stage at all in any aspect? But like to get there, right? You kind of have to like reverse engineer it. So if at the end of your tour you want to feel as good as you felt going into it, what do
Yes.
you need to do? And I can imagine from a health and wellness perspective that sober touring gives you a lot more towards the end than what you might have gotten previously.
Yeah, I think, the first time we did it, we actually left the tour and we were like, huh, I'm kind of bummed. Like, I want to do like 2 more weeks of shows with you guys. I feel so good. And bringing up the Chili Peppers and Foo Fighters and, some of those other bands who have been doing it for so much longer than us, the Rolling Stones too. Like, you look at them and eventually everyone kind of realizes like, hey, if we want to keep playing for our fans and keep doing this night after night, we have to get in shape and we have to really take this seriously. So I think this is a great moment for us where we're sort of like reinventing everything that we do and we're really taking ownership of the live show, the studio recordings, everything. It's exactly what we want to be putting out. It's very intentional.
I want to talk to you if you're up for it, a little bit about AI and how, obviously in music production, AI has been used, maybe not to the degree of what we consider AI now, but AI has been used whether making beats and, running loops and stuff like that to some degree. I don't think we necessarily considered it AI. But when it comes to true AI music, you go in and you say, I want it to have this kind of, sound. It can be like a 50s, lounge singer, whatever. And the computer can spit out a song. We don't consider that like true music or true artistry. Where do you stand on AI and how it impacts musicians and also listeners?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I have a lot of friends who are more on the avant-garde type of music making, and I think what they're doing with it is really cool. They're actually manipulating it from a human standpoint. They're bringing their artistry into that equation and
Yeah.
sort of melding it with the interface, the AI interface. I think that's really interesting. But I think for something like what we do, which is very human element based, and it's sort of about like protecting humanity. I think our songwriting is. Um, I think it would be interesting to try to do something like that. We never have, but I think from a listener perspective, it's gonna make. I have to imagine that it's gonna make an audience almost take sides. It's like, do you believe in what humans put out is worth of value? Because the AI may technically be perfect, a perfect song, which I'm sure, some people at record labels will love, but like are like, people who want something deeper or more soul in their music, like rock and roll fans, or, you
Yeah.
know, I think that true human artistry is always the most important thing.
It's like going to see if you want to go see a live show, right? For me, I love music, being in radio. I'll be in the studio, with it cranked up and singing along. But it's not the same as going to the show and seeing people
Yeah.
perform, and also to witness, like you guys up on stage, to witness you guys feeling the music as you're making it. There's something very incredible and personal, like intimate about that, even in a stadium setting. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you can kind of zone out and zone in. You're like, wow, this is amazing. We all came here together tonight. I'm a little bit of a hippie in that regard, but
Oh, yeah. I
otherwise,
mean, you don't
you
want to
know.
see a hologram up there, and like, so I guess this is for everyone. Don't let yourself be replaced by a computer.
Yeah. Well, from the radio perspective, there's not much left. Uh,
Same here.
Listen, so excited to see you guys in Charlotte in a couple months. I'm a true supporter of the sober touring, so excited for that too. Drink some electrolytes every now and then, mix those in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it was great to talk to you today, Tyler.
You too, Amy. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, guys.